totally destroyed. The police posting on their Facebook page unbelievable image from Erie and Chicago. I'll take this photo and show you exactly what it looks like. A number of trees, power lines are down, branches all over the place. This one house looks totally destroyed. I'm seeing a trailer flipped on its side with tree branches all around, power poles flipped on their side as well, with a lot of those twigs and a lot of the debris synonymous with those winds and the possible tornadoes that you've been mentioning. The one thing I want to point out is that there are so many power lines down all around the area. They're saying that if you see one of those down power lines, don't go near it. Call 911 if you're in an emergency. Erie County Executive Mark Poloncarz is just putting out there within the last Route 240 in West Falls is closed. This is the area near the Aurora and Coldingtown lines. He says lots of trees and power lines are down on the road. A tornado looks to have passed through here. He's asking everyone to avoid the area and is not hearing any reports of injuries at this point. He's holding his phone, kind of shooting this in selfie mode, and all around him there is a ton of debris with these massive trees that have just fallen with those winds and the storm that rolled through in the West Falls area. The thing about what we're seeing right now is that there are blue skies compared to just, perhaps an hour ago when those skies were looking ominous, Aaron.
They certainly were, and you can have blue skies. We saw blue skies a few minutes ago over Chautauqua Lake near Bemis Point. And then if you look south from Bemis Point, the skies are going to be very dark and very ominous.
In this dangerous world, friends and partners are more important than ever. So today, we agreed to continue to strengthen our partnerships, especially in the Indo-Pacific. Security is global, not regional. Putin's war is fueled by those who do not share our values. Iran and North Korea provide direct military support, while China is propping up Russia's war economy.
So we have the tornado warning. We also have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for eastern Cattaraugus, southwestern Livingston, and Allegheny counties until 1:45 p.m. But we want to stick with this tornado warning because this is an extremely serious situation. And Meredith, if you can zoom in between Evans and Brand right here.
Sent a warning in my phone. It was fucking storming, but 2 seconds later, the warning does not come very early. It's a trip. Not early at all. The warning came 2 minutes later. It was fucking here.
Shelter now. Take cover now. Move to the basement if you can. Stay away from windows. Most injuries occur from flying debris. Perhaps you're watching out, you want to see what's going on, and then boom, tree branch comes through the window, and that's where the injuries will occur. So this is the area right now that is moving off toward the northeast at 45 miles per hour. Places like Evans, Eden, Angola, North Collins, Evangola State Park, Derby, Angola on the Lake, North Boston, Farnham, and Langford. The cell is 11 miles to the southwest of Hamburg, moving to the northeast at 45 miles per hour. Maybe zoom out a bit and see if the red, that's the tornado warning, has been extended. No, not to Hamburg just yet. Just to the south of Hamburg, heading over toward Eden, right along the thruway right now. So let's take a look at the thruway. This is 57A, where you can hardly see a thing with that rain coming down right now. The tornado spotted on the ground is near this area. So it's moving to the northeast. It's near North Collins, moving northeasterly. To the 45 miles per hour, 11 miles to the southwest of Hamburg. There's a view right now of the exit 57A camera shot. Hard to see anything. It's very dark. The rain's coming down very heavily, and folks here on the thruway could be driving, unfortunately, into a tornado, especially if you're coming from Buffalo and heading southward.
We have a little bit of rotation around Pontiac right now. If you can go back to the radar, you can see an early indication of a funnel cloud developing in that area. So this could be a come and go sort of situation with a funnel cloud and a touchdown. But very, very strong, heavy downpours. I would say maybe a half inch of rain in a short period of time in this area. So there could be some flash flooding in some areas too, Aaron.
Flooding is a concern today. Flooding will be a major concern as these storms roll through. Right now, the southwestern Erie County tornado warning in effect until 12:45 p.m. You see the circulation there on the screen here. Pontiac just past Brant and Evans, Eden and Hamburg, right along with there, along with 20 and 62. Those are areas where you need to take shelter now. This is occurring. This has been spotted on the ground. So you want to take shelter immediately with that tornado warning that has been issued. Again, that is for southwestern Erie County until 12:45. The Weather Service will give us another update shortly. We're doing this all in real time. So you can see it on the TV as this is unfolding. This is a damaging tornado that is making its way off toward the northeast. And right now, Bossier Park, North Boston, Hamburg, folks need to be prepared for this sort of hold together. So we're passing through your area. Now we have a view of the Hamburg River. We can pop that up. And notice the sky looking very ominous right now, kind of the quiet before the storm. Just some lightning right before we took the shot, so that lightning is getting closer. You can actually see a little blue in the sky. MB, I don't know if you can see any green right now.
I don't see any green, but it just looks like the cloud is really dense, so it has that dark appearance. But sometimes where the tornado is, you'll see that greenish tint to the sky. I've seen it when I lived in the Midwest in St. Louis. The sky typically turned green when we had tornado outbreaks and tornadoes in general. But really the sound, listening is probably even more important than seeing, because you will hear that low rumble that sounds like a freight train in the distance and coming closer and closer if a tornado is heading for your neighborhood. So those are good indicators.
Definitely. That is a really, really good point. If you hear what sounds like a freight train coming toward you, get into the basement right away, as that sound is indicative of a tornado making its way towards your area. And we have the tornado warning in effect until 12:45 p.m. That is a confirmed tornado located right over North Collins. Now moving up past North Collins, moving toward the northeast. You can see it on the radar near Pontiac, now near Eden.
Now Eden, yeah, Eden seeing a little bit of rotation now.
Yeah, you can see how that just jumped off toward the northeast. So Grant, North Collins is going now to your northeast, moving to the northeast at 45 miles per hour. So, as I mentioned, Hamburg, North Evans, heads up as this storm is heading toward you. South Buffalo Street, Lakeview Road along the thruway. Right now, the storm is near West Church Street in Eden. So I want to give you the heads up there as that cell is
I
passing.
wouldn't be surprised if this warning gets extended farther north into Orchard Park, Hamburg, because it's moving so fast. It's already, the rotation is in Eden and it's moving so quickly outside the warning area.
Oh, I agree with you. That's why we want to get the people along South Buffalo Street there in Hamburg, particularly Parkway, Clover Bank Road, Lakeview Road. If you live in those areas, you want to take shelter and do it now as this storm is moving off toward the northeast very quickly at 45 miles per hour. And this is a tornado that was spotted by a spotter, not on the radar. This was located by a train spotter who saw the actual funnel come from the sky and make contact with the ground. That's when the tornado was reported, and you have a lot of lead time as the storm continues to race off toward the northeast at 45 miles per hour. Again, that's the area right now where the storm is, and this is moving off toward the northeast at 45 miles per hour. Here's a view, a lot, and exit. And again, notice just how dark and ominous those skies look. Cloud tops are very, very high as this storm continues to move quickly to the northeast at around 45 miles per hour. This is a confirmed tornado on the ground. We passed through Evans, Eden, Angola, North Collins, Angola State Park, Derby, Angola on the Lake, North Boston, Barnum, and Langford. Those are areas you want to take cover now. Get to the basement if you can. If you don't have a basement, get to an interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy building. Avoid windows. Cannot emphasize that enough. You want to avoid windows, yard doors in a mobile home. Get to the closest shelter and protect yourself from flying debris. That's what happens. Most injuries occur from flying debris. As we have the rotation right now, you're seeing on the screen, looks like North Evans, Eden Valley, this area right here, 162, moving off toward the northeast. Heading toward Hamburg. Now the tornado warning has not been, boom, just happened.
Here we go.
Yeah, let's see. We said the warning would most likely be extended, and it has.
Wow,
Let me
this
just
is
read
really,
it's just coming in.
yeah.
This is a reported tornado located over or near Hamburg, moving to the northeast now at 40 miles per hour. Chickawaga, West End, Lancaster, Hamburg, East Aurora, Elma, Boston, Eden, Orchard Park, and Wales Center. You folks take shelter now. Repeating this, tornado is on the ground. Take cover now. Move to a basement or an interior room. Avoid the windows. You're outdoors. Get to a shelter now. Torrential rainfall coming down with the storm as well. That is a live view from the fairground. It looks like a whiteout, like you see at Blizzard in the wintertime. But yeah, a few minutes ago, you could see some sun break through the clouds. So go back to the weather computer. I want to show you where that cell is. Go ahead.
This warning is good till 1:15 p.m.
That's
It
right.
extends all the way up into Elma Center.
Yes, for central Erie County until 1:15. Let's take that street level, and we'll go street level, show you where the circulation is. And it's right near Hamburg right now. And it's moving up. We'll go to some streets so folks, there we go, are able to take shelter. Evans, Lakeview Road, Waterville, Hamburg, Hunting's Court, your Scranton. This area right now is where the tornado is on the ground. So you've got the time in front of it to seek shelter. Stay away from windows. This tornado warning is in effect until 1:15 p.m. And that is for central Erie County. Looked earlier, was most likely be extended to Hamburg. Weather Service did that right when we were live on the air. It's moving out toward the east, Lakeview Road, East Peak Road, there's Route 62. You have the thruway right there. Traveling along the thruway during this storm is going to be treacherous as it races off toward the east at around 40 miles per hour.
Yeah, so South Creek Road and Chattagee Road now being impacted, and it's heading up toward Lakeview Road right now.
Yeah, so again, this is spotted. This isn't something that the radar is picking up. This is an actual person who has spotted this. This is on the ground. Tornado located over near Hamburg, reaching the northeast at 40 miles per hour. We have the Hamburg Freeway camera live. Let's take a look at that if we can. And looking for rain coming down. You know, torrential downpours right there. I mean, hopefully we don't see the tornado coming across the freeway, but it's certainly a possibility. As this rain is coming down, you can hardly see a thing. And again, what should people do if they hear that sound of that train heading forth?
Well, what you want to listen for is for a low, loud rumble, like a deep rumble. It sounds like a freight train in the distance, and it's louder if it's coming toward your area. But I also think if you look to the sky, sometimes it has a greenish tint, and that means there's hail and severe thunderstorms with it that can produce tornadoes. So those are good indicators. But really, you want to go to your basement or the lowest floor of your home and interior room, like a bathroom or a closet. You want to stay away from windows.
Counting them to make sure I'm dumping. I found one in my sump pump the other day. It's still alive. He made it too. Like he didn't die from it. Like accidentally poured him down the drain, and then I had to fish him out. Whoopsie.
Go to your mobile home shelter or get out and lie flat in a ditch. Same if you're in a car too. If you see a tornado heading to your area, get out of your car and lie flat in a ditch. It's better to do that than be in your car because you could be swept up into the storm. But I would also alert your senior neighbors, or if you have any neighbors that have disabilities in your neighborhood, tell them about this and how to prepare themselves as well and take action because you don't have a lot of time. So, Aaron, now this rotation is now moving into Hamburg right now. All right, so we're going to zoom in for you. Here we go. There's some Route 75. Isn't that Camp Road? It looks like it's moving toward Camp Road right now between Lakeview and Camp Road.
Yes, McKinley, towards Scranton Road, right by the fairgrounds, Abbott Road. Those are all areas where the storm is getting much, much closer than you drive, like you mentioned. If you're along 62, 75, Buffalo Street, take shelter now. This is moving through a pretty populated area of Hamburg, and this is a tornado that's been reported on the ground. So this is not just Doppler radar indicated. This is one that has been reported on the ground. You can see the circulation on the screen right there from our radar. And we are tracking this as it went from east near Hamburg, moving out toward the northeast at 40 miles per hour. There's McKinley Parkway right there. There's the cell moving out toward the northeast. Yeah, this has been spotted. So this is the tornado warning. Weather spotters confirmed a tornado. This is just the radar. This is an actual visible confirmation of this tornado. Chickawauk, West Seneca, Lancaster, Hamburg, East Aurora, Alamo Falls, East Orchard Park, Wales Center. On the freeway between exit 57 and 57A, that's where the cell is right now. And again, this is a tornado on the ground, right in Hamburg near the fairgrounds, moving out toward the northeast. What you're looking for right here is kind of this what's called a hook echo, and that's what you're seeing here as this moisture kind of wraps around. It's a bounded weak echo region, and there's the echoes right there.
Look at all the intense lightning. Lightning can kill you. Again, stay away from your windows. And if you're outside, get inside right now because the lightning does not fool around with you.
Exactly.
This is really, really heavy rain in that dark red. I wouldn't be surprised to see some low-lying, like maybe some flooding hanging on the roadway, or maybe even some basement flooding here too, because this is intense rain and intense lightning. There's many, many lightning strikes in this area.
Yeah, we don't see any lightning strike right now on our Skywatch view out over the lake, but the storm is just 2 hours south.
Yeah.
If you zoom out on that radar a bit, I want to show you that hook echo that we're looking for. And notice it's right, you can see kind of what you're looking for is this hook. And that's where the tornado would be, right in that area, moving up through Hamburg and moving up toward the northeast. You can see the circulation right there. And again, places like Maryland don't have the warning right now. That could change. This has been holding itself together for quite some time, starting in Chautauqua County, moving to southwest Erie County, and then making its way through Hamburg, near Orchard Park as well. East Aurora is under the gun there. And we're looking at the Hamburg Fairgrounds Live right now. Let's go there.
Yeah, that is a nasty scenario right now. And there's intense lightning in that area. It's incredible. There's so many lightning strikes here. And it looks like there's hail right now. Doppler is indicating some small to medium-sized hail in the region. You can actually see the hail, too. You see it on the lower right-hand corner of your screen.
It's tough to see. It looks like
I can see it
bouncing
here.
around.
Yeah,
It also,
there's some hail mixed in with the rain there.
yeah, you had a car go through what looked like
Yep.
a pond. So the water coming down very, very quickly. Like you mentioned, it will accumulate very quickly on the roads. So you have the flooding to deal with. You have a dangerous situation with this tornado that has been spotted on the ground. You know what? I'm just going to ask Michael and Taylor, if you guys have any updates or anything that's going on social media, feel free to chime in, as you're probably getting the more real-time stuff from the viewers.
Yeah, just those that monitor these posts people have done. There are certainly videos out there that are circulating. It's hard to know for sure and to confirm in real time what they are, but there are certainly videos that have been posted on social media seeing the show tornado on the ground, Hamburg,
Unit area. I'm seeing really the video of this is Hamburg Beach right now. This is Hamburg Beach. Look how ominous those clouds look.
The couple before
And the seagulls look a little confused right now.
I know. I saw some ducks on the pond earlier in Chautauqua, and I was like, oh no, you guys take them.
But we are going to have videos, though, you were saying?
There are storm chasers, by the way, who have been following the routes of Beryl all the way from Texas, now up here in western New York. And so they've documented twisters, across multiple states. This is the Hamburg Fairgrounds. What's fascinating, as we've monitored all these cameras this afternoon, is how quickly the conditions change. Look at the blue skies there. A moment ago, you couldn't see hardly anything. We've noticed that on the throughway cameras as well. Earlier in Irving, it went from pretty much nothing to what looked like a whiteout.
You couldn't even see cars driving on the thruway, and then you give it 3-4 minutes, and then all of a sudden you can see the standstill, cars go through, the storm's just moving so quickly up the thruway.
That is wild.
How about that fourth area? Talk about moving 45 miles an hour. I mean, is this a fast-moving storm, or is this something we would...
Yeah, it's racing northeast at about 45 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's a quick moving storm. Like you said, it's moving to the northeast at 45 miles per hour. So you do have a lot of lead time. Places like Elma, Jamison Road there, East Aurora, Orchard Park, heads up. You'll notice that dark red on the screen, right approaching Blaisdell, right near Hamburg, and then it kind of hooks near Hamburg. That is where the tornado actually is. And this has been spotted on the ground by spotters as it moves off toward the northeast, like you said, until 1:15 p.m.
All right, we have some other very strong thunderstorms developing now in western Niagara County. You can see this line coming. There's an indication of some rotation in here, and there has been some hail as well. So if you live in Lewiston and Niagara Falls, even in Grand Island, keep an eye to the sky here, because this is a nasty storm coming through. Even the Buffalo metro area could see a little bit of twisting and turning, some damaging wind gusts coming through now, coming in from the west. These are very, very fast-moving thunderstorms that have torrential downpours that could create some flash flooding and dangerous lightning, too. Look at all the dangerous lightning around Hamburg, too. There are just numerous lightning strikes
This is
Hamburg
Blaisdell
over
right there.
towards Aurora as well.
Yeah, this is Blaisdell right
See that car camped out right under that overpass, waiting out this part of the storm. Is that hail in the bottom
It
there?
does look like there's hail falling. Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Yeah, Blaisdell, that's a scary place to be right now. You can see the hail, hardly see anything because the rain's coming down so heavily. And that's, some of the fear with the tornadoes. They get wrapped up in this very heavy rain. Sometimes you can't see it. So you've got to pay very close attention to what we're telling you with the radar showing where the storm is. And also, we've had visible confirmation from our spotters. So weather spotters have confirmed a tornado. The warning continues until 1:15 p.m. That's for central Erie County. Places like Wales and East Aurora and Elma, Lancaster, West Seneca. Look at all of the lightning associated with this as it moves off toward the northeast at 40 miles per hour. So it's moving pretty quickly as storms just west of Buffalo and across western Niagara County. All west New York under a tornado watch. That's what the peak is, the reddish pink. That's in effect until 9 p.m. And there's that warning right now. Now, the Weather Service kind of been updating it every about 10 minutes or so. This last warning came out at 12:44, so we should see another warning or update if this is going to be extended toward the northeast. There's the warning right there. And then, Mary Beth, this is a
Severe thunderstorm warning. This is a severe thunderstorm warning for portions of Kent County to all of Allegheny County. So we're seeing a strong cell right now in central Allegheny County. These are moving to the north-northeast very quickly at about 45 miles an hour. Now near Warsaw, we're seeing a little bit of hail developing too. We don't have a warning there, but we got some rotation around Warsaw right now. Also a little bit of rotation in central Kent County here too. Around Machias, we're seeing a little bit of rotation, and near Orangeville as well. So if you live in these areas, take cover as well. Even if you don't have a warning right now, these are indicators that severe weather is heading your way.
Yeah, so in Orchard Park along 20A, you want to be, get into shelter as quick as you can. Baker Road, Webster Road, New Taylor Road, South Lincoln Avenue, California Road by the stadium. The storms are making their way through your area right now. It is a serious situation with that center of circulation right now, moving off toward the northeast. This at 40 miles per hour. This is the 219 jet by the 90. Wow. Again, you can hardly see a thing. In the wintertime, this would look blizzard-like. As we take a look at that. Right now, we have a truck pulling off to the side of the road saying, you know what? I can drive through anything, but I'm not driving
You
through
know
this.
what? He's a smart man. That's what everybody should be doing right now, is pulling off to the side of the road in a volatile situation like this when we have a tornado warning.
Yeah, and we are seeing some damage across the area from the storm. Arkwright has trees down and lines are down, and food damage in the town of Arkwright as well. On Henry Road and Putnam Road, in that general area, a number of trees and power lines are down. Some back roads are not passable. Nobody injured in Chautauqua County, but we do have some trees damage, some roof damage, and also a lot of power lines down and some back roads that are impassable. And look at that, just as we showed you this view of the 219 by the 90, and then once the storm passes, things start to clear out a bit. Still have not seen this red box on your screen. That is the tornado warning passing right near Orchard Park, moving off toward the east. So, Effie, why don't we zoom in to this area right here? You can see West Seneca right there. There's Alma Center as we move on toward the northeast with this cell. We take the folks. This area right here is the main concern as we move easterly near Route 277. It's Herald Square along the 219. You just saw the camera shot there showing how things are starting to improve just a bit as now we have Ebenezer in our sights over toward Elma, westward along 20, Route 16 right there. So on the 400, be prepared to travel very slowly on the 400 as this cell moves across the area. So we have that tornado warning in effect until 1:15 p.m. And seeing if there is an update from the Weather Service. Again, they've been kind of updating every 10 to 15 minutes, so we're due to see what's going to happen next as this cell moves on toward the northeast at around 40 miles per hour. This is a cell that has been confirmed visually, so it's not just on the radar here. Train spotters have seen the tornado on the ground. It's a long-lasting storm. The longer they last, makes me think the stronger they are. Look at that. That is the 400. Just said that travel on the 400 would be tough. That is the 400
Look
near
at the
Union
hail
Road.
there.
Look at that hail coming down.
Wow, that's incredible.
Just to let you guys know, I just heard from Jeff Russo, who was at Highmark Stadium. I just tried to pull up the live webcam that's at the stadium. Unfortunately, it's down right now, perhaps because of the weather. Jeff just went through that area and said it was hailing right by Highmark Stadium. So, widespread hail apparently.
Did he say it was, I'm assuming he said it was very scary and difficult to drive through?
You know what? It's like, I'm just Highmark Stadium, just experienced it. So,
Okay.
that's all I got.
Yep. All right, thank you. So now, you saw the 400 right there, your Union. So folks, getting at Elma along Bowen Road, along 354 and Blossom, Jamison Road. Heads up as this storm along Route 16 makes its way towards you. You see the view on the 400 near Union, and things are going downhill very, very fast. This cell just east of Lackawanna, now moving to the northeast of Orchard Park. Again, in that 400 Union area. You want to seek shelter immediately. Take cover now. This is a serious situation. It's a tornado that's been reported on the ground, so not just on the radar. Weather spotters confirm this. Flying debris is very, very dangerous to those who are caught without shelter in this storm as it continues. It's moving to the northeast at 40 miles per hour. The warning in effect until 1:15 p.m. for central Erie County. Notice now, especially near Elma, as this cell moves off toward the northeast. We're going to look at 400 near transit if we could. Well, normally you can see things there, but not the case right now. Torrential downpour, strong winds, hail, and possibly a tornado in this area. Again, the tornado moving off toward the northeast at 40 miles per hour. This is a tornado on the ground. You want to take cover now, get to a basement or an interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy building. Avoid windows. Cannot emphasize that enough. If there's a tornado, you hear what sounds like a train, you see the sky turning green, and it's approaching your neck of the woods, don't go take a video of it to post later. Be safe. Most injuries occur from flying debris hitting windows, and that's how people get injured. So there's that red box right there. So that is the one that has the tornado warning. The pink for all of Western New York, that is the tornado watch, which is in effect for everyone until 9 p.m. We have severe thunderstorm warnings for eastern Cattaraugus County and Allegheny County, and the warning across portions of western Erie County as well. Again, we're zooming in right there. We had a storm with some hail. There's the circulation. Right near 16 of the 400. Here's the 400. There's 16. You know, that merging area near Elma, West Seneca. Moving toward 354. Heading toward Route 20. Town Line, Lancaster, Marilla. Yeah, definitely. As this is moving off to the northeast at 40 miles per hour, you have plenty of time to get to the basement, seek shelter, and again, stay away from windows. Get a sturdy spot in the house, and if you want to protect yourself, you can put blankets or even pillows on top of yourself. Get under a nice sturdy piece of furniture, perhaps a desk. That'll keep you safe as there's that circulation.
Yeah,
Right
there's
here.
more hail around the 400 and Route 20 too, with some rotation too.
I was just told that the power is out in and around Highmark Stadium, so that would explain why that camera was out there. And again, hail reported there earlier. I just checked the National Grid and NYSEG, not reporting a ton of power outages, but it can take a few minutes for those to come in. But you have to imagine we will be dealing with power outages, with just strong winds and hail.
And there's some updates out of Hamburg from the emergency services manager there. Power is out. The town hall's back up on a generator right now. Alternative police have been moved to the basement of the central part of the building away from any windows. The storm moving pretty fast, and there's damage. Power lines down. East Eden Road, Jennings, Neophone, East Eden, and that general area.
And look at this shot of the 400. We'll take this in just a moment. This is the photo showing you earlier when the hail literally looked like a blizzard, and now there's virtually nothing there. I think it speaks to what we talked to earlier, how quickly this storm is moving through. Conditions change so quickly, and that Aaron, when it gets dangerous, because people who aren't getting alerts on their phone, who aren't watching the news, don't know exactly what's coming, and this comes so quickly. I think this is a good reminder. If you know someone who's out driving right now in the areas that are impacted by this warning, call them, let them know that being out on the road in a tornado is extremely dangerous, as Mary Beth was discussing
Wow,
earlier.
this is amazing. This just came from Ed. This is from John Crowdy, right from the Hamburg Emergency Services. Storm moved fast. The dispatch for Boston, Colden, and Hamburg. Trees, power lines down at the police department.
No, they're responded to that. So,
My mic nice and close, yeah.
so I just found out that the police department is responding to trees and lines down with damage at East Eden Road, Eckerd, Jennings, Neophone, and then East Eden and Shinsis. But what I found out just moments ago is that all town employees at the town hall or in other town buildings have been moved to the basement or to a central part of the building if there is no basement away from windows because of tornado possibilities. Town Hall right now, Hamburg Town Hall is on a backup generator because power is out.
Wow. So thank you for that. At least they're taking it very seriously. I'm sure it was quite a scary situation there in Hamburg. I don't know if we could take weather 2 real quickly. that is, we can take weather too. I want to show you something. Yep, thanks. Our director's saying, give me 1 second. We got a lot going on here with this tornado warning. Now, I want to see if there's also been an update from the Weather Service. No, still in effect until 1:15 p.m. for Central Erie County. When we take weather too, I want to show you what we call the, well, it's in kind of a Doppler radar mode, which is actually the, and what you're looking at is, and as I was about to explain it, the Weather Service just issued their update. No severe thunderstorm warning now for Erie County, northeastern Erie County, southwestern Niagara County, and that's in effect until 2 p.m. With these cells, though, if you are in those areas, be prepared for some strong storms, strong winds, heavy rain, and possibly tornadoes. The tornadoes do kind of come out of these severe thunderstorms. So you see the green and the red that was right near Blossom. That is wind going toward and away from the Doppler radar at the Buffalo Weather Service. That is where the rotation would be. As we get a little closer to the airport, unfortunately, we get a lot of what we call ground clutter or anomalous propagation, and you can't really see it as well. But that's where that circulation is. Lancaster, Alma, over toward Town Line. I know it doesn't look that pretty on the screen, but Bowen Road, if the tornado's still on the ground, it would be in your area, right in this region. Lake Avenue, Aurora Street, Bowen, in Lancaster, over toward Evian Way, Lake Avenue, north of 354. Clinton Heights, so these are areas that need to seek shelter now. And if you're to the northeast of it on Schwartz Road, Pavement Road, your Delwood, Town Line, Ransom Road, Walden Avenue, Quail Run Road, Plain, Cemetery Road. Again, seek shelter immediately as this area of rotation, which is right there, that's what you're looking for on the radar, is moving on toward the northeast. And again, now we have the severe thunderstorm warning in effect for northeastern Erie County.
That's till 2 o'clock.
Yep. You want to take that, Mary Beth?
It includes southern Niagara County, too. So Grand Island, all of Metro Buffalo, surrounding suburbs, too. Williamsville, Lancaster, down to West Seneca, over toward Newstead and Town Line. You're included in this. And we have more storms moving in from the west. And some of these storms have a history of producing some rotation and hail, too. Even going up toward Niagara Falls, I'm kind of surprised that it hasn't been extended to include these areas like Lewiston. But if you live up here in Lewiston and Niagara Falls, take shelter too, because there is some rotation around here. These are fast-moving systems that are fast-moving cells that are just evolving in a matter of seconds and minutes. So there's not a lot of time to react all the time. And we have more storms firing up across the Genesee Valley. We're going to be watching those too, because some of those have had a history of producing some hail and some rotation. But right now we still have that tornado warning issued for central and southern Erie County, but it looks like the storm is really moving fast and it's moving out into the severe thunderstorm warning area. So perhaps the storm is weakening a little bit, but it's still strong, but extremely heavy downpours right now. Going toward Route 20 right now between 354 and 20 here, you'll see some very, very heavy rain here. This is just an extremely heavy downpour just east of Transit Road here, south of Lancaster. So if you're in this area, you might see some flash flooding in some areas.
Now, Brandon, yeah, you need to be in front of the spaceship, so please be in front of, do not take the thing, it's very balanced and heavy.
Service Omaha tweeting this, that Western Omaha residents seek shelter now. A tornado is moving into the Elkhorn area, and that's where this video was captured there by Corey Gerken near Lincoln, Nebraska and Elkhorn, Nebraska. Take a look at the size of that twister there. So a very, very massive storm system in the end of April, making its way kind of through this plain state, smack dab in the middle of the country. Fox Weather's still on this. Let's watch. Tornado that is still on the ground. This video occurred.
It has lost its status and a lot of its punch, but what is now Tropical Storm Beryl is leaving a deadly and tattered trail tonight as the former hurricane now powers its way from Texas and on into the center of the country. The storm, which forecasters have been tracking for nearly 2 weeks, was intensifying right up until making landfall in Texas as a Category 1 hurricane, contributing to the extensive damage on land, where it killed at least 4 people, cut off power to millions of homes and businesses, and dumped massive amounts of rain, afoot inundating highways in Houston. The danger is not over tonight as the remnants of Beryl are raising the risk of tornadoes. Kathy Park is in Texas with a late update of the deadly storm.
Tonight, Texas taking a direct hit from Beryl, lashing coastline with punishing winds and waves as a Category 1 hurricane. Communities completely underwater, while the force of the storm tore up entire homes. A tornado being reported in Jasper.
Howling winds, people's houses flying by your house, roofs ripped off.
Priscilla Thompson spoke with one family in Morton who got out just in time.
This massive tree came crashing into this home. The couple inside telling me they just narrowly escaped. We're in the living room and we moved away. That's where all the spiked wood came down from the ceiling, so we probably would have been killed.
As the storm moved farther inland, Beryl showed no signs of slowing as conditions quickly deteriorated, with rainfall totals close to a foot in Houston.
The flooding is getting so bad. It is shutting off the interstate in both directions. Some vehicles are trying to make it through. Other vehicles are getting stuck, but most cars are actually stuck and actually turning around and going back the wrong way.
Cameras were rolling as this man was saved on another Houston highway.
I think people are urgent to get somewhere, not realizing that if they drive through, situation.
With wind gusts nearing 90 miles per hour, trees and homes, at least 4 Texans have died. Emergency and rescue crews in many communities, including Houston, racing to get people to safety.
We're literally getting calls across Houston right now, asking for first responders to come rescue individuals in desperate life and safety conditions.
The deadly storm now heading toward Arkansas, leaving behind a devastating path of destruction.
And Kathy is in Houston now for us. How are the conditions there right now?
Well, Lester, as you can see, there's still a lot of damage that we are tracking. The water, though, is receding pretty quickly. At one point, this road was completely underwater. Meanwhile, a lingering issue that we continue to follow are those widespread power cuts. At the height of the storm, more than 2 million customers without power, and it could be days before everyone is back online. Lester?
All right, Kathy Park, thank you. Let's bring in Bill Carrots. He's been tracking Beryl and that impressive heat. Beryl is not done making trouble.
Yeah, quite a bunch for only a Category 1. We started worried about storm surge and rainfall. Now we're worried about more tornadoes as the winds have come down and that heavy rain heading from Oklahoma, Missouri, and Arkansas overnight. These tornado watchers have been incredible. We had numerous tornado warnings all afternoon long, at least 6 confirmed tornadoes, and that threat was continuing at midnight up into areas of Arkansas. And then when we talk about the heat, this is non-stop ending won't end in areas of the west. We have heat advisories up for the east. For the humidity in the east, you can feel it in the air. Tomorrow, we'll be like 104 in D.C., 108 in Charleston. You get the idea on the east coast, and that's not going to change anytime soon. In the west, for this past weekend, we had numerous all-time record highs. We're going to see by the end of this week, Lester, the hottest week ever recorded for Redding, Fresno, and Vegas.
All right, Bill Carriage, thanks. Thanks for watching. Stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on breaking news. Hurricane Beryl slamming Texas, making landfall just a few hours ago near Matagorda, Texas. Our Sam Champion is standing by with the track and timing for us. But first, Victor Kindo starts us off in Galveston. Good morning, Victor.
Good morning, Michael. Southeast Texas feeling the brunt of Hurricane Beryl now. The rain has been coming down for hours, and the wind's definitely picking up too. Take a look up at the palm trees as they're getting whipped around. The strongest gust that we have felt here in Galveston near 70 miles per hour. Landfall just south of us in Matagorda, Texas. We are on the dirty side of the storm here. That is the most dangerous part. The Gulf of Mexico is just behind us, and the biggest concern, the potential for 4 to 6 feet of storm surge. That is life-threatening.
This morning, Hurricane Beryl slammed into the Texas coast as a Category 1 hurricane. Bringing damaging storm surge, hurricane force winds, and the threat of tornadoes. Winds reaching more than 80 miles per hour, tearing through southeast Texas. Chief Sergeant Beach storm surge median. Oh wow. Overtaking the air, high winds and waves, hammering vehicles. Oh! In Freeport, Texas, numerous power flashes. Run there. As winds began taking out power lines. Oh! This time, Joe Houston skyline disappeared as Beryl approached.
The next 24 hours are going to be rough for Harris County.
Cities preparing for the storm over the weekend. Distributing sand out, boarding up windows. It's the first hurricane to hit the state in 3 years. Officials are saying they're concerned more people did not evacuate. Beryl leaving a deadly path of destruction through the Caribbean, blowing roofs off buildings in Jamaica and uprooting gas stations in Mexico.
The storm has already left 9 deaths in its path through the Caribbean. We don't want number 10 to be in Texas.
It is going to be a long morning along the Texas Gulf Coast and into Houston, which we know floods easily, residents being urged to stay indoors and off the streets until at least noon today. Robin?
All right, Victor, please take care out there.
Welcome in, friends. I'm Reed Cowan. We are watching hundreds of video feeds from all around the country and the world for breaking news. We are in Texas for the storm aftermath, and I'm going to take you to Washington, D.C., where world leaders talk about Russia versus Ukraine. You're watching CBS News 24/7. Let's go. All right, but right off the top, let's run our video feeds to Washington, D.C., and the White House press briefing room. You are seeing reporters getting ready to go live there. That's because White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre getting ready to take questions about President Joe Biden's candidacy. Some may even ask about his medical history, as well as whether the president will advocate for Ukraine to join NATO. Keep in mind, world leaders are in Washington, D.C. for those NATO talks. This is all happening in the shadow of Russia's attack on a children's hospital in Ukraine. World leaders are in Washington discussing Russia's war in Ukraine. And the big question, will NATO provide a pathway for Ukraine to try to join their coalition? We're also watching that, and we'll go back to D.C. when news breaks, and as soon as White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre steps to that podium, we definitely want to see what she has to say today. So let's now jump the map to Texas right now, where the word of the day is aftermath. After Storm System Beryl did a lap around the Lone Star State, we're talking about parts of Houston underwater and millions in the dark right now. The video you see here takes us flying over some of that waterlogged portion of Houston, showing the aftermath there. You can see roadways underwater, what looks like rapids down Main Street, USA. The tragic updates to the death toll is at 8. We also understand the force of Beryl ripped roofs right off of homes. There's an impact of travel. If you're flying in or out of Texas, you've got to stay tuned because we have updates on that as well. And let's make the case that Beryl was big. Outer bands pushed the force of that storm dozens of miles away from Houston. In fact, I got this video from a place called Surfside Beach. Look at that. Opened up like a can there. The roof tore off. This is 70 miles away from that central point of Houston where the damage was so great. Zoe, let's put this into perspective here. Joining us now, Beryl isn't even a rapid as it starts to move east.
No, it might not even be tropical in nature, but it is still a huge threat to the United States. If we take a look at where it might even be heading over the next 24 hours, this is going to be the biggest issue because it's going to make its way up across the Midwest, and it's going to bring tornado threats, it's going to bring flooding, and it's going to bring a lot of other severe weather. And we're going to toss it off to Dallas with Chief Meteorologist Scott Padgett, who will have a bit more details.
Hey there, Zoe. Here in North Texas, a calmer day today, lots of sunshine. You can see the activity that we saw in the last 24 hours. Local storm report for tornadoes. Through parts of Northeast Texas, also into parts of Louisiana. Post-tropical Beryl still now working its way to the northeast, but losing tropical characteristics. Will continue to do so and make its way through parts of Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, even into parts of Canada over the next 48 hours. You see that on the tropical futurecast, a large amount of rain on the way. That's why there are flood watches all the way from parts of Arkansas through eastern Michigan through the next 24 to 36, 48 hours. The reason is maybe 4 inches of rain to some spots even higher than that, all the way from parts of Indiana into parts of Michigan, even to upstate New York. The other big story is the heat along the west coast, all along the eastern seaboard, but here in Texas, down in Houston, high temperatures today in the 90s with power out. That feels like temperature up to 106, adding to the misery of the cleanups after Beryl worked its way onshore.
Yeah, misery is the best word for it. Make sure you are aware the heat is going to continue, and I'll break down even more detail coming up in the next forecast.
All right, thank you so much for that update. So let's talk about power crews who are on the ground right now in Texas. They are some of the first out and about in the storm and in the aftermath as they try to navigate these waterlogged roads to get electricity back on. And when they do, you're seeing this. They are in flooded area. It's a mess out there. CBS News correspondent Janet Samuelian knows all too well the damage. She is live in Houston right now. It sounds like power is slowly starting to come back on, but if I'm looking at it, you're standing in the aftermath of a mess, Janet.
Absolutely, Reed. I am in downtown Houston. Take a look at these trees. This is a heavily traveled street right near the city's convention center, and there are some 12,000 power crews out trying to restore power to some 2 million households. But it's going to be days before they get everyone restored. CenterPoint, the main provider here, has promised 1 million households back online by the end of the day Wednesday. However, that leaves more than 1 million households still in the dark when we reach Thursday. And as your meteorologist said, we've got feel like temperatures of 100 degrees plus. What is the city doing? They're partnering with churches and community centers to open cooling areas. They're taking water out to areas. There just aren't enough hotels in the city, and people frankly can't afford to go to a hotel. They've lost their air conditioning, but it's very hot right now. That is the impact of Beryl. The floodwaters that we've been showing for a couple of days, those are gone. The issue is the debris on the streets, clearing this, and getting the power back to the people of Houston and southeast Texas. And that is a multi-day event.
Wow, and a lot of people working on generator power, but that only lasts so long as the gasoline lasts in that generator. Our thoughts, Janet, with so many people in the path of Beryl. We know that NAPR will reach out to help NAPR, and we will continue following that part of the story as well. So the damage was not limited to just Houston. In fact, I've got this video off of our monitors for you showing a place called Freeport, Texas, to just sort of position you. That's about 60
away from where we just saw Janet live. And as you can see there, people are just starting to pick up there. They're trying to clear out these areas so that the buildings you see can be places where people can gather to get food, to get water, and to get the help that they need. So let's show you how Texans are working very hard to meet those needs in the midst of difficulty. Look at this, in the floods, in the midst of the damage, electricity out, but the lights are on in hearts of people who are fixed on service. And look at this, mobile fast-feeding kitchens. Already today, they're working to cook up what's expected to be thousands of meals a day to make sure that Texans have what they need. They are working on cooking up to make sure that the meals are there so that people do not go hungry as Houston continues to recover. We want to take you now back to Washington, D.C. live right now where President Joe Biden welcomes world leaders today. This is an important day for him to showcase his power as a uniter, as President of the United States, but also goal number one, shore up more support for Ukraine as Ukraine continues to fight its war with Russia. As part of that summit, just moments ago, Secretary of State Antony Blinken spoke at NATO's Women, Peace and Security reception on gender inclusion. Listen.
The evidence shows that when women enjoy greater physical security, when their rights are respected, when societies have higher levels of gender equality, entire countries are more stable, they're more prosperous, they're more peaceful. And when women are meaningfully involved in making and keeping the peace, it is more likely to endure. This is not just a women's issue. It's a national security issue, an economic issue, and yes, a moral issue as well.
NATO's Women's Agenda launched 24 years ago, and since then it's really become a vital focus of the organization's cooperation with other international groups. And if you're wondering who's a part of NATO, we're starting to see some of the world leaders arrive. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau stepping onto U.S. soil along with the President of Bulgaria, the President of Poland, and many, many others expected. Joining us now is CBS News intelligence and national security reporter Olivia Gassis. So tell us what you expect to come out of these meetings. What's number one in priority? Is it what we're hearing, Ukraine and Russia?
Sure, Reed. It's great to be with you. Yes, without question, a key area of focus for the world leaders gathering here in Washington, D.C. is the war in Ukraine and the prospect of NATO membership for the Ukrainians. President Zelensky is already here in Washington, and he's coming here clear-eyed about the fact that membership in NATO right now is not on the table, nor is a specific timetable. Instead, what NATO leaders are hashing out is the specific language that's going to be used to describe Ukraine's pathway to joining the alliance. The U.S. has been pushing for the metaphor known as a bridge to membership. The government in the UK has been pushing for the word irreversible to be included in the language. And this may seem like metaphors and descriptors are kind of small potatoes, if you will, but the language that is used is important because it fuels the message that these Western leaders are going to send to non-NATO onlookers, including Russia and its backers, China, North Korea, and Iran. Apart from membership, we expect a couple of other announcements, additional air defenses for the Ukrainians, which they desperately need, and then continued bombardment by Russian forces of their cities, and also longer-term bilateral agreements by countries who have not yet struck them with the Ukrainians. Also on the agenda is an announcement by the NATO alliance that it will now become the chief coordinator of military aid flowing into Ukraine. And that's because it needs to avoid these long delays like the one caused by the American Congress more than 6 months before Ukrainians saw that desperately needed American aid flow in. We also learned this morning that we're going to hear directly from President Zelensky, who's scheduled to give a major address here in Washington, D.C. this evening.
Major address in the shadow of that terrible attack on the Children's Hospital in Ukraine. Thank you so much for that update, Olivia. We appreciate it. Okay, so while President Biden presides over NATO events, Vice President Kamala Harris, you see her right there, stepping off of an aircraft into a sweltering Las Vegas. This is the battleground state of Nevada. She is there once again, stumping for votes for President Biden. You know, Las Vegas is a stronghold for the Asian American, Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander communities, and that is a crucial vote in that state. Harris has shown strategy in recent days. She is solidly digging in her heels. She's backing Joe Biden and trying to get the narratives back on Donald Trump and lies told during the debate that her running mate continues facing scrutiny over. We're watching that one closely. Meanwhile, Donald Trump back on the campaign trail. He has a rally in Florida today, and You know, everybody's really holding their breath for what he's teased, and teased quite a bit, a running mate announcement. So, CBS News campaign reporter Olivia Rinaldi is joining me live from South Florida. We know Marco Rubio will be in attendance, and a lot of people want to know, will we get an announcement that perhaps Marco Rubio is at least in the running to be a running mate?
Reed, it's the question that everyone asks me. Who is Donald Trump going to pick, and when is he going to pick them? Campaign officials have told me it could come as soon as 10 minutes from now on Trump's social media platform, Truth Social, or it could have come right before the convention, perhaps Sunday or Monday, right before it starts next week. But I can tell you that Senator Marco Rubio of Florida is someone that Donald Trump is considering as his running mate. Other names on that list also include Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio, the governor of North Dakota, Doug Burgum. These are all people Trump is considering, but those are the top three that we hear about most often. And you're right, it is notable that Senator Rubio is here today in Florida. Of course, it's his home state, and Donald Trump is living here as well. And so we'll be here at this rally today, but all eyes will be on tonight and whether or not Donald Trump makes this big announcement. As you noted, he's been pretty quiet the last couple of days as Democrats have been swirling questions around President Biden and the viability of his candidacy. So going forward, Donald Trump, kind of took a back seat and let that turmoil play out. But, it could be a grand entrance back into the campaign tonight if he were to make a big announcement like a VP pick.
Well, you highlight something that's kind of interesting, just sort of looking at this from a strategy standpoint. If Donald Trump makes his announcement for VP, that takes the focus off of the narrative that has really hurt Joe Biden. That takes away the headlines. So you've got to think that his press strategists are thinking, okay, if we make the announcement now, it takes the heat off of Joe Biden. Is there any upside to making the announcement now?
It's Donald Trump. He's been out of the limelight for about 11 days since the debate and his rally in Chesapeake. He's certainly feeling the itch, wants to get back out there, wants to focus back on him, especially as he's running a presidential campaign. But one senior official put it to me this way, something that Napoleon said, never interrupt your enemy when they're making a mistake. That was something they canceled him on, even though he was, putting statements out on Truth Social. He largely wasn't in the limelight, but again, it's uncharacteristic of him to stay out of the spotlight. So we're expecting a pretty big night here in Miami.
And we know you will bring it to us. Olivia, thank you so much for that. All right, when I come back, did a powerful Democrat put power up for sale? I've got some late-breaking developments in the trial against a New Jersey senator. I'm Reed Cowan. You're watching CBS News 24/7. All right, I'm watching our cameras fired up right now and focused on New Jersey, where closing arguments are underway in the bribery trial of embattled Democratic Senator Bob Menendez. Prosecutors say Menendez put his power up for sale, and they are pointing to text messages between the senator and his wife as evidence of conspiracy. On his way out of the courtroom Monday, Menendez was pretty fine. In fact, he mocked the government lawyers as, quote, intoxicated on their own rhetoric. The prosecution is wrapping up their closing arguments today, and it'll be soon up to a jury whether they believe that senator is guilty. And another legal drama to get you updated on. Let's take our video feed to New Mexico, where jury selection in the Rust shooting trial of actor Alec Baldwin is underway at this very moment. Today is an uphill battle for prosecutors. Yesterday, the judge ruled Baldwin's role as producer is not relevant in the trial. That was a big deal because prosecutors needed that win to really make their case that Baldwin's producer status gave him more power over on-set safety. 2021, Baldwin held a revolver when it went off on set, killing cinematographer Helena Hutchins and wounding director Joel Souza. We're going to keep our cameras fired up there and break into this broadcast whenever things happens in that and any other trial. Streaming news from all over the world, and this takes us to a Russian missile attack on a children's hospital. More aftermath to see. People there you can see frantically searching for survivors, and we have news. The death toll is now up. 41 dead, nearly 200 wounded. And that's just in the earliest stage of digging for life in the rubble there. Today, Ukraine's president will be in Washington for a NATO summit where the attack is expected to be roundly criticized by those NATO member nations. Well, let's go to Indonesia now. Look at this. Severe weather triggering landslides at a gold mine, and what you are looking at is the aftermath. The rescuers digging through mud, looking for survivors. That landslide hit about 100 people who were there in that remote town digging for gold. It's a place known as Sulawesi Island. Right now, we know at least 24 people are dead. Many more are missing. I'm also watching cameras in New York at this hour. A major bridge connecting communities stuck. We're going to go there next. Heat is to blame there in the Big Apple. I'm Reed Cowan. You're watching CBS News 24/7. Back with that. I want to show you this video out of the San Francisco Bay. This comes to us right now showing a boat fire, and wow, it's a rager. It is sending huge plumes of black smoke billowing. The Coast Guard and San Francisco firefighters to the rescue. We're understanding they were able to pull 2 passengers and their dogs from the flames. So far, we don't have any word on what caused this fire. But let's talk about California, because out there just not in Santa Barbara in real time, battling the massive lake fire. Right there, it's huge. 26,000 acres of dry brush and hilly terrain just torched. This fight is tough going because the hills are steep. That's why you're seeing a lot of video from the sky. But right now, on the ground, firefighters, they're also down there. They're digging a huge fire line to try to keep that fire from threatening structures. And that includes one that you likely will know a lot about, the Neverland Ranch Complex. That's the former home of the late Michael Jackson. It is threatened right now at this hour. In fact, we just got this from 2 people on the run from the flames. You're going to meet Joey and Jarrett. They're watching the fire in real time.
On my front lawn, the house is kind of elevated so we could see it. It's very scary.
The Zachar fire, the huge one, it was the 2nd largest in state history when it happened. It started the 4th of July 2007, so it's really interesting that this one is just a day after the anniversary.
You can get what caused the fire, but right now firefighters doing battle still only have about 12% contained. It goes on right now. Well, the power of our monitors and maps gets us across the nation in a flash to show persistent stories in New York where heat is concerned. People depending on air conditioners, trying to beat back the temperatures, pushing triple digits. They're getting a warning to turn them off because there's word that the energy grid could be strained to the point where it could collapse at some point. We met Jogger Daniel out for a run that turned out to be just too hot to handle.
I do a lot of errands, and I was like, oh, the sun's going down. This is like the perfect time to go out.
Too hot. Too hot.
Yeah, you're hearing that a lot. The Big Apple, too hot. In fact, they raise another point officials want you to know about in the heat. No matter where you are, watch for signs of heat exhaustion and stroke. Listen, doctors say things like muscle cramps, dizziness, and confusion could be signs of worse conditions. Just be careful up there. Heat in New York, not only hard on bodies, but on bridges. Look at this. I just got video of the 3rd Avenue Bridge that connects Manhattan and the Bronx. If you don't know that area, guess what? The heat swelled the metal to the point the bridge operators couldn't turn and close that bridge. Well, as you see there in the water, enter New York's finest. They're hosing the metal down to try to cool it off. There they are. But by the way, while they did the work on the water, to cool off the bridge, traffic, as you can imagine, snarled for hours. So, hard on bridges, hard on bodies, and really a lot of people hoping things let up.
Yes, hopefully, I mean, for some folks, the things will let up when it comes to the heat, but unfortunately, it's the humidity that's mixed with the heat that's making things very difficult for places across the East Coast, but it's the West Coast that's dealing with this huge heat dome, and they've been dealing with it, bringing record-breaking temperatures from dozens of weather stations yesterday. More records are potentially going to be broken across the West Coast with no clouds. That's the high pressure. And we can also see that area of high pressure by just taking a look at our temperatures on the ground. The United States is feeling very hot, especially the East Coast, though, with the influence of those warm mid-ocean temperatures. So that is something to keep in mind. The heat's on for the East Coast, but these temperatures don't necessarily look too impressive. 97 degrees in Washington, D.C. Yes, that's hot, but heat indices are going to be closer to 112 degrees across the East Coast. That's something to keep in mind. The humidity is making it feel a lot hotter. While the West Coast, we see the dry heat, but it is really, really hot out there with many places well above the triple digits across the West Coast. 117, Las Vegas 118, where they already broke their record high temperature ever in history just a couple of days ago. And the heat continues with widespread heat advisories, heat warnings, and that is going to continue as we take a look behind me across the West Coast at least. It's the entire United States, though, that does have the potential for very, very hot conditions.
conditions, and the hot conditions are going to continue again for the next couple of days. I'll have more details, though, on the next 6 to 10 days and where those heat domes might be building.
All right, we'll be watching. Zoe, thank you so much. When I come back, we're going to punch up our video feeds in Texas to show people recovering and reeling. Listen, they're recovering from floods and news that Beryl was a killer. The death toll going up. I'm Reed Cowan. You're watching CBS News 24/7. Looking live right now at the White House press conference from Secretary Clinton Jean-Pierre about many things, not the least of which the fact that President Joe Biden is welcoming leaders from around the world. As expected, they will be talking a lot about Russia's war in Ukraine. Okay, so if you're wondering who is a part of NATO, take a look at some of the leaders entering the country. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau stepping off the plane along with the President of Bulgaria, among many others arriving in the United States. Now, though the summit kicked off earlier with U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, many people are focusing today on the tie between national security and women's issue. Take a listen to what Blinken had to say.
We thought it was fitting as we kick off this summit, this 75th anniversary summit, a summit that looks not only to the achievements of the past, but looks especially to what the alliance has to do and has to do together to ensure our security, to defend our democracies going forward. We thought it was very appropriate to kick things off with this event, with this focus on women, peace, and security. And a commitment to bring our focus to empowering women's full, meaningful, and equal participation, not just to this forum, but to each and every issue that we have to tackle together. Success, and yes, our security depends on it.
NATO's Women's Peace and Security agenda launched 24 years ago, and since then has become a vital focus of that organization's cooperation with other international groups. While President Biden presides over NATO events, Vice President Kamala Harris is once again going to the battleground state of Nevada, stumping for votes. This right here is the Vice President leaving the East Coast hours ago, headed for sweltering Las Vegas. Vegas is a stronghold for Asian American, Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander communities. Well, back in D.C., meanwhile, more leaders are talking about Joe Biden. Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal just a little while ago expressing undying support for President Biden, making it very clear where the work needs to be done. Listen.
I've heard concerns from colleagues. I'm waiting for them to President Peace address them, along with, more importantly, frankly, the concerns that I've heard from people around the country. But I think he is energetically and effectively addressing those concerns, and he needs to continue to make that case, and he will earn their support.
Well, Mr. Biden's allies have been facing some tough questions, as you just saw, about his ability to win following that debate performance. And today, Congressman Jim Clyburn giving a simple answer to reporters on this.
More people saying Biden should step down, or more people saying he should step down?
You're riding with Biden. You're riding with Biden.
Did anyone mention Harris?
We are riding with
Was there
Biden.
conversation about Vice President?
We are riding with Biden.
Was there conversation about Vice President Kamala Harris in there?
We are riding with Biden.
You think he wants a message to get printed in newspapers across the country, riding with Biden? Meanwhile, let's talk about the other part of this. The counter to this, Donald Trump back on the campaign trail, talking a lot about Joe Biden, raising questions about his viability as a candidate. Donald Trump will be in Florida today, and a lot of people wondering who will be Donald Trump's running mate. The former president only has days left to make that announcement before he takes to the stage of the GOP convention next week. We do know that Florida Senator Marco Rubio and Ohio Senator J.D. Vance are leading contenders to join Trump. Rubio will be in Florida very close when Mr. Trump takes to the microphone there. So while Trump rallies in Florida, we know the Republicans in Washington, they are hard at work. They are suing Attorney General Merrick Garland for access to audio tape for President Joe Biden's interview with Special Counsel Robert Hur. So what is this all about? It's part of questions into how Joe Biden handled classified documents. And Republicans want to know if any of those tapes reveal more about the mental state of the president.
We have the transcript, but we have a responsibility to ensure that the audio matches the transcript. Now, everybody in America knows. We all know why they don't want to turn over the audio. because it will obviously, presumably, show exactly what we all saw on that debate stage a couple of weeks ago, or Thursday last, and that's something that they've been wanting to cover up. So they're going to great lengths to exert executive privilege.
Well, what's the Department of Justice saying about this? They say that the accusations are more about scoring political points. Andy, to get you back to Texas right now, tens of thousands are in the dark after Burrow's destruction. This is video from Surfside Beach, Texas. The force of Burrow literally peeled the roof off of that house like a soup can. Other houses are literally like they're standing in water. This is a mess there in Surfside Beach, and this is quite a ways away from Houston, where the power is out to millions. In fact, let's talk about that. The numbers of people in the dark, pretty staggering right now. Pretty staggering. We're understanding from our reporter Janet Shamlian that as many as 2 million people are in the dark. And so let's talk about Zoe right now. Talk with Zoe right now about that. Zoe?
Yes, we saw some crazy numbers yesterday when it came to the storm surge, when it came to the tornadoes. In fact, 100 tornadoes in a single day was reported by the National Weather Service. That's the highest number, one day total in July. And we are going to see that continue over the next 24 hours. That storm will continue to move across the United States. Again, it has already made landfall yesterday morning, and you can see I'm standing directly on top of it. It will continue to make its way across the Ohio River Valley. It's going to bring chances for severe weather all across the Great Lakes as well before it eventually makes its way off into Canada. But we still have another 24, maybe even 48 hours of the potential of flooding and severe weather. So let's take a look at some of the maps, because this is where we're really going to see the track of the storm. Where it is directly right now, it does not look nearly as pretty or as organized as it did yesterday, which is good news, because that does mean that it is weakening. It is no longer strengthening as we step out over the next 24 hours. But you see these areas lining set up, this bathing as we call it. This is a chance for severe weather. More spin up tornadoes, more really heavy torrential downpours are likely going to continue overnight tonight and into very early tomorrow morning before that system quickly makes its way off into our hair, and that is going to allow us to really enjoy some of that rain, but not necessarily good news when it comes to severe weather. Enhanced risk for those tornadoes, for those large hail and very damaging wind gusts. All things to keep in mind. Not just that, but flooding concerns all across the Ohio River Valley. We do have that chance for flooding, especially along the Mississippi River, where we are expecting torrential downpours to continue to make its way down. These are all things to keep in mind, so make sure you are weather aware and hunker down if you are in the line of this storm system.
All right, thanks. So let's get back to people in the dark. The numbers are staggering there in Houston. Let's go back to CBS correspondent Janet Shamlian, because we are understanding that acting Governor Dan Patrick has issued a call to the Biden administration for FEMA disaster declaration to try to get some money to recover.
Hi, Reed. I want to give you a look at what's happening in downtown Houston right now. These work crews are all over the place, not just downtown, across the city, because the number of trees that are down here after the storm made landfall, Houston was not expecting this. This is a downtown street. It's Lamar. It's right near the city's convention center, and it's one of many streets, not just in the downtown area, but across this city, that are blocked with not just trees, but debris. That's problem one. Problem two is the power. More than 2 million households across this region, southeast Texas, still without power right now. Take a look at the size of that tree. It's just snapped in half there. And CenterPoint, which is a main provider for this area, is telling us that by the end of the day Wednesday, they will have 1 million customers restored. 1 million. But that means there's still another million throughout this area without power. And we've got feel-like temperatures in the 100-plus range. It's going to be in the 90s, but it's going to feel a lot hotter than that. So what are they doing? Well, community groups, the city of Houston, Montgomery County, which is a neighboring county, kind of all partnering together. They're opening cooling centers at multi-purpose areas. Lakewood Church, a well-known church here in Houston, is opening its massive facility. Response teams are bringing water to neighborhoods where people are cleaning up. The floodwaters have receded, but the problem now, power and debris, and that's going to be more than a 48-hour fix. Reed, back to you.
All right. Thank you so much. It's going to take weeks, maybe even months. There's so much focus on Houston, but we're also seeing damage far inland from Houston. I want to show you video from about a 5-hour drive outside of Houston. This is Texarkana, Texas right now. Just listen to how Keith Ford talked about the force of the storm there in Texarkana.
It was like a freight train. It was bad. It was terrible. So,
got to deal with.
Yeah, and more damage 107 miles away from Texarkana. This is in the town of Timpson, Texas. City Hall damaged by a possible tornado there. It is Tornado Alley after all. And just a mess there. And with the high force of the winds there in Timpson, Texas, you can see that where they usually do the people's business of Mother Nature came crashing through. That City Hall ravaged there. So Timpson, Texas, that's usually a place where people gather to go to get help, to organize response. It is also destroyed. We also have our live cameras on Washington, D.C. We continue to wait for press briefing from the White House press room, talking not only about Ukraine and Russia and NATO members in Washington, D.C., but also full-throated support for Joe Biden, who's digging in his heels, saying he's in it to win it. He's not leaving the race. That's true. Our video feed's taking you right now, once again, watching an empty podium at the White House press briefing room. This is day 2, when a scheduled briefing has been pushed back and pushed back and pushed back again. Today, we're expecting White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre to step forward and answer questions to reporters. Reporters wanting to know about this full-throated support for President Joe Biden after a terrible debate performance. The response by other leaders in Congress and in the Senate who have said they are behind him. Others, of course, representing those who are not. This is also a key day because President Joe Biden is hosting world leaders, part of NATO, in Washington, D.C. Many topics to be discussed, not the least of which aid to Ukraine in their fight against Russia. This is also playing out in the shadow of that terrible attack, Russian missiles hitting that children's hospital in Kyiv. So, a lot to talk about here. President Joe Biden knows he has to address the concerns, as Senator Blumenthal said just a little while ago in this broadcast, of the American people about his ability to win against Donald Trump, but also to show that he is the leader of the free world, as world leaders are emerging in Washington, D.C. right now. The president also expected to have something to say, at least by the end of the day, to what we also heard about from the UN and from NATO, and that is a pathway for Ukraine to potentially join NATO. Not going to happen anytime soon, certainly something that Russia does not want. But now the discussion's starting to happen amid world leaders about how Ukraine can one day potentially join NATO. So we'll continue watching to see if that press briefing continues to get pushed back. As soon as she begins, the questions from reporters will take you there. But for now, how about we jump the map and we go to Manhattan right now, which sprays Hollywood mogul Harvey Weinstein. He's facing a judge in another courtroom today. We're talking about new accusers that have come forward. Prosecutors expected to announce today if they will seek a new indictment. You might remember Weinstein is set to have a retrial in his rape case beginning in September. His original conviction overturned by an appeals court in April while Weinstein served a 23-year sentence at Rikers Island. Weinstein and his lawyers deny all of the new allegations. Well, almost 21 years since Scott Peterson was arrested for the murder of his wife Lacey and their unborn son, and he's still working to clear his name. Peterson back in court, now backed by something called the LA Innocence Project. They want DNA in the case retested. They believe it will exonerate Mr. Peterson. So the judge in the case ruled that duct tape found on Lacey Peterson could be retested for DNA. This isn't the win you might think it was for them. They wanted many more items tested for DNA. The judge said no, just that duct tape. So this will be a case we will continue to watch. Let's jump the map to Ukraine. We were just talking about this. The death toll from that Russian strike on a children's hospital, up to the minute information showing it's now at 41. And look at the frantic effort to try to find survivors. Rescuers literally in the rubble throughout the night. So far, they pulled 170 wounded to get help. The rare daytime attack hits as Ukraine's President Zelensky is also on his way to Washington for that NATO summit. And again, that topic of Ukraine's defenses will no doubt be a key issue. Will the world step forward and advocate for Ukraine in its fight against Russia, especially now, given this missile hit on a children's hospital? Let's turn now to Israel, where Israeli Defense Forces launched a raid on a refugee camp in the northern West Bank today. So the IDF claims this is a counter-terror operation. This video right now coming to us from our monitor shows Israeli bulldozers are inside that camp. We're also hearing reports of smoke. There it is, right above that palm tree. Sounds of explosions. Meanwhile, ceasefire talks continue in Qatar today, but officials continue to say and signal from those talks that Israel and Hamas are a long way off coming to any sort of an agreement. Moving on to the map of Indonesia, where at least 20 people confirmed dead.
It's raining so hard my basement's starting to flood.
Landslide.
Fucking panic.
Unauthorized gold mine. And in fact, reports that people could find gold there saw about 100 people quickly digging in that remote town of Sulawesi Island. We understand tons of earth and mud loosened because of rains and just swept them out. So you can see right there, day and night rescuers trying to dig through the massive mud and rubble, searching for survivors. This is a day after severe weather just halted that search. It was just too dangerous for the rescuers as well. We also want to keep you updated on raging wildfires out west. This is coming to us from Santa Barbara County, California, where an army of nearly 2,000 firefighters are battling the massive Lake Fire. That fire has torn through 26,000 acres of dry brush and hilly terrain. It's really made it hard for firefighters. So an update, crews right now are trying to dig a fire line between the structures that are threatened by the flames and the actual live fire. By the way, that includes a very famous spot on the map you might know about, the late Michael Jackson's former home, Neverland Ranch. It is at risk of being burned to the ground if firefighters can't make headway. By the way, that fire, only 12% contained, as a lot of people who live in that area remain under evacuation warnings. Let's go to the other side of the country, New York. It's hot there in New York. You see those empty tables and sidewalk patios, sweltering hot temperatures. Working for restaurants or other establishments, really difficult. Easy to access water, that's a plus, but working outside, that is a different story. And you know who knows about that, who's hearing the complaints in real time, is Mayor Eric Adams. He says New York is handing out hundreds of kits to make life a little bit easier. Ice cream helps, right? In fact, they say they're giving out cold packs, electrolyte mix, sunscreen. So they're trying to do some things. But Zoe, are we going to see these temperatures linger in New York?
Yes, unfortunately, that heat wave is only beginning across the East Coast as we're keeping our eye on two main areas of high pressure. And you can kind of see them, or at least you can see one of them, by looking at just the clouds. On the West Coast, it is huge, it is dry. The East Coast, the issue is the cloud coverage and the moisture. And with a lot of moisture in the hot temperatures comes humidity, comes heat indexes, and that's going to be one of the biggest concerns over the next couple of days. So we can take a look at how hot those temperatures are going to be this afternoon. We already saw widespread, record-breaking heat all across the continental United States. And again, the biggest issue with the East Coast isn't going to be necessarily the temperatures, it's the heat indices. So 98 degrees, 97 in Washington, that's hot, but with heat indices up to 112, to be our main issue. While the West Coast isn't necessarily dealing with the humidity, they are dealing with record-breaking high temperatures, some of the hottest ever recorded in modern history. Something to keep your eye on, and they're only going to continue to heat up over the coming weekend ahead of us. So heat safety is a big priority. Reed?
Belongs to you in your communities where you live. But the issues that you're facing in real time today. We know this. It was a deadly 4th of July holiday. At least 340 people killed by guns last week in the U.S. alone. A nationwide program is working hard to try to reduce crime by bringing together police and at-risk kids in a familiar setting. CBS News' Tarika Duncan takes it.
What Caden Reeves first discovered on the track is a lesson he's learned even better off of it. That getting to this finish line would require him to focus and not look back.
Come on, man. Take me back to where you were a year and a half ago. You and Caden are going through it. That's an understatement.
I didn't believe in consequences.
But consequences came in March of 2023. Atlanta's gang and SWAT unit arrested Caden and 3 others on multiple felony charges, including illegal gun possession and street gang activity. Caden is looking at up to 20 years behind bars.
You call your mom and you say what?
My mom, I'm in jail. She started breaking down crime.
His mother, Tamika, says she spent all of her savings, $8,000, to make bail.
Next day, Clippers and cops. And that changed everything.
It's not just us, it's all of us.
For the last 6 years, Clippers and Cops has been bringing together police and the community. The intention is to meet in a place where kids feel most comfortable, And here, that place is the barber shop.
If you stay, you're gonna learn something.
Retired police officer Ty Dennis says he was inspired to start the nonprofit after working in Atlanta's gang unit for 10 years.
We can't arrest our way out of some of these problems. We can't keep doing the same things, and that's basically what Clip Chicago. It is something different. We're not saying it's an end all, but it's what we decided to do to try to make change.
Not only are they in barbershops,
Your goal is your roadmap to success.
they're in classrooms. They visited over 50 schools from Missouri to Tennessee and Georgia.
We talk about topics that they want to talk about. Decision making, goal setting, do's and don'ts on traffic stops, rap music, prison, and just try to help them do better in interacting with law enforcement.
A recent Gallup poll found that close to 7 in 10 adults in this country say they are confident in their local police. But when you break it down by race, that number drops to 56% for Black Americans. Programs like Clippers and Cops can improve relationships between police and those they're sworn to protect, creating more trust, an improved sense of community, and a decrease in crime of up to 22%.
That's what kids need to see. They need to see that this is what people that look like me can do, will do, and are willing to do for me.
At Caden's graduation, Ty was there.
On behalf of Clippers and Cops, we want to present this to you.
With another important piece of paper.
Yes, sir!
The one saying prosecutors decided not to move forward and drop all charges.
You have to go and execute the plan. If they fall down, they're able to get back up and get their life back on track.
Back on track because Clippers and Cops instilled in Caden one of the most important lessons of life. It's not how you start, but how you finish. For Eye on America, I'm Jerika Duncan in Atlanta.
That proves our mission and our promise to you. We are in your communities, telling stories, redemption, and success. And that's it for us at CBS News 24/7. We'll continue watching these monitors as we continue to see when it's new, it's news.
Real good for their digestive systems. Please. Had a couple die on me from not feeding them a balanced diet. Yeah, YouTube would put down that last fucking live stream. You're a nigga fucking, but I've seen it all the time. Gotta go eat. I'm fucking starving. Bowl of cereal. Cereal. I'll be back though. 2 viewers, shit.